Hiya Toon fanatics, and welcome to Toon Corner. And today I'll be talking about a man named Walt Disney. Walt actually began his animation career in 1919 at the Kansas City Film Ad Company, where he was able to meet his best friend, Ub Iwerks. Later, Walt and Ub would form their own studio called the Laugh-O-Gram Studio, and they were hired animators like Hugh Harman, Rudolph Ising, and Friz Freleng, for example. Unfortunately, the studio went into bankruptcy. But before the studio went into bankruptcy, Walt was experimenting with a Laugh-O-Gram short called Alice's Wonderland, where he was able to take a live-action girl and put her in a cartoon world. Walt hopped aboard a train to California, and he sent the Alice's Wonderland to Margaret J. Winkler, hoping that they can find a distributor that is interested in Walt's work. Charles Mintz became Walt's distributor, and the animators from Kansas City met Walt in California at their new studio, and they were all happily working on a series called The Alice Comedies, which combines live action with animation. In 1927, Walt and Ub were creating a Toon star named Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. It was their very first Toon star that would actually compete against other Toons like Felix the Cat. Walt later went up to New York to ask Charles for more money on the Oswald cartoons. Charles just said, "No, not only am I not going to give you more money, I hired away most of your staff and I own the character. You don't." Walt was disappointed, and on his train ride back home, he started sketching a Toon mouse. Later on, he showed his sketches to Roy, Lillian, and Ub, and decided to name his Toon mouse Mortimer. His wife Lillian wasn't really fond of the name and suggested Mickey. Ub locked himself into a room to work on Mickey's first cartoon, Plain Crazy. Unfortunately, the distributors weren't really fond of Plain Crazy, and same thing as Galloping Gaucho. So Walt decided that he should start adding sound to his next cartoon. On November 18th, 1928, Walt released their very own first sound cartoon called Steamboat Willie. It was the cartoon that would launch Mickey into a lifelong career. In the 1930s, Walt was becoming a modern example of an animation pioneer. He was starting to use Technicolor and the multiplane camera in his cartoons, and in 1937 he released Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which is their very first full-length animated film. In the 1940s, after the success of Snow White, Walt was working on films like Pinocchio, Fantasia, Dumbo, Bambi, Fun and Fancy Free, and It's On the South. In the 1950s, television was becoming a big thing, and Walt embraced the idea of television. He used it to promote his upcoming theme park, Disneyland, and to promote his animated films, animated television series like the Mickey Mouse Club and Davy Crockett, for example. And at that time, he was also working on films like Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, and Lady the Tramp. And in 1955, Disneyland finally opened to the public. In the 1960s, Walt was still a very popular figure on television, and he was starting to draw up ideas for Disney World in Florida. And he was also working on films like Mary Poppins and The Jungle Book. Unfortunately, The Jungle Book became Walt's last animated film. He passed away on December 15th, 1966. And the question of the day is, what is your favorite Disney movie? Just let me know in the comments down below. Feel free to leave any requests. And I'll see you next time in Toon Corner.